Hi guys, so this video here is taken from a full course on building a track from scratch in Logic. You'll be able to watch all of the Logic related videos for the course on YouTube. There will be a link to the playlist below for you. But in this course, we're basically building this whole track from scratch. If you want to follow along with that, you can. And if you want to download the project file and all the samples that go with the course, there's a link to that in the description as well. I hope this video is useful to you and that you're able to follow along with the course. Let's jump into it.
Feeling heavy, but now I'm steady, going up from hitting the ground.
All right, so we built up our first 16 bar section that's now going to drop into a bit of an instrumental breakdown and set the chords and tone for the track. I just wanted a nice little rolling melody just to start everything off, so it can translate from one track to another. So this is what we built so far. Right, and one thing I'm definitely going to add, I'm going to take this crash here, because I don't like it there, drag it right up to the end here, zoom in, get it so it's just on the end here, and in my inspector, I'm going to drop down more, and I'm going to reverse it, and it should just give us an extra little fade in. Like that. I'm going to drop the level a touch more, even just going to leave it on the same channel. We'll drop it by -18 dB. Cool. And I'm going to keep the rhythm going in here, I think. So I'm going to take the first section here of drums and just with a double click, leave the cymbals on here, but I'm going to bring it right down to simple and light. It should really reduce down what we're doing. Take the shaker out. So we're just going to keep going with the rhythm, right? Yeah, I think that could work. If I can make it slower, I might make it slower. So what we're going to do, we're going to right click, convert drummer region to MIDI. What we can do here is, if my little hack works, so now I've converted that to a MIDI region, I want to halve it in time. If I hold down option, I can time stretch it, double it like that, and it will now be in half the time. How's that for a little hack for you? So what I want to do here is introduce some chords. It's going to be piano. And if I've still got my piano patch, we're going to roll with that, I think. So we're going to make a new instrument track, but we're going to leave it empty channel strip. And up here in settings, I've hopefully got one that says my piano. If I remember rightly, this is Logic piano, and it has got C4 on it, but we'll get rid of that, and then it is entirely Logic. Beautiful. Now I was thinking of playing out some keys and chords on here. However, some of you might not have any musical theory, and that seems a bit mean. So I want to show you a way that we can build chords and melodies without maybe having any musical theory ideas. Just something we can do in Logic, just with the old point and click methods. Now, beforehand, I was writing in F sharp minor, so we're going to stick to that. And what we can do in here, we've got the scale quantized. We're going to make use of that and kind of build some chords up that way. So as long as you know your notes and where we can launch off from, you'd be okay to follow along with this kind of method, right? Whenever you've got a note selected, it does show up in here as well. So you can see as I run through, it highlights them. So F sharp, for example, right here. So if we put a note in, like so, how can we work out chords? So one thing we can do, we can make this start a little bit early in here, right? And we can just fill up a whole octave. Like so. We're going to highlight all of those notes. In the scale quantize, we are going to go F sharp, natural minor. All right, that gives us our scale. This little guy up here, going to right click. We are now only using that scale right there. And because it's looped like this, it's not going to play those notes. So I can work things out like this. I could do a chord like that. How's that for a little hack for you? So let's work out a nice chord progression. Now what we'll do is we'll just copy this across a few ranges to play around with. We'll reduce it down. Anything we put in here is going to work for us. So we could do something like this. Now, as a general rule, if you miss out every other note, you're always going to get a chord that works at least. Okay, so I kind of like that as a progression, but I want it to be a little bit longer and more drawn out. So we're going to double them in time. Obviously, it all sounds a bit rigid at the minute, but we're just getting an idea for what our progression is going to be. And we need something to finish that off, and I think bring it down to quite a low chord. And it's not quite long enough because I brought it backwards. To do that's quite a nice progression we've built up there, I think. All right, so what we're going to do, we're going to duplicate it, and this time on this new one, I just need to roll it off like that. This time I want to stick a melody in the top as well. This time we're going to go for shorter notes. So each chord's playing over 2 bars. I think we have 1 bar of the chord, and then maybe put a melody of just 2 notes in every other bar. Might work for us. We're going to give it a try, see what we get. I might need to go up another octave. I know what would be quite nice. If we step up the pace a little like this. Now we kind of invert it. So we're going to do that and then step up in this one. Bring that up, that one. And we're going to trick ourselves a bit here with an extra step down. We're going to do a similar thing here, and we're just narrowing it in further each time. This time we're going to bring the melody in a little bit early, so we won't be expecting that. And that works quite nicely for us. So let's check all of that together, see what we've got. All right, so it's a little bit rigid, but we're going to humanize it up just a little bit. Now, we can do this manually, or we can use some of the tricks. What we need to do is shorten these notes just a little bit. So we're going to zoom right in and just bring them back just a touch, just so there's a bit of space. And we've got to think about when we're going to play this. If I was playing this, my little finger's probably going to hit first. So that would probably be the first key to hit. Everything after that might come ever so slightly later. So we're just going to give it the tiniest bit of a gap, and that would maybe take the longest to hit. So we now have much more natural landing chord. Use the humanize tool to do that as well. So if I select all of these, go into functions, MIDI transform, humanize. We want to switch off velocity, put that to 0. We want to switch off random length to 0, but then position we do want to move ever so slightly. We'll just have it down to like 6 ticks, operate only. And when we zoom in, we can see that they've moved ever so slightly. Now they're not as natural as the way I like to do it manually. So if we do that, for example, they start to shuffle and come in a bit early and things like that. So you might need to go in and correct them anyway, but there you go. It does do it for you. We need to do a similar thing with these as well. Move them just the tiniest bit. off that one a little bit later. We didn't make them shorter, so they'll bump into the next set of notes. Just do that. We can do a similar thing as well with the melody, because the melody is never going to be bang on. I'd probably end up going a bit early, leave that bang on a little bit late. It just helps it feel a little bit more natural. Like we did with the others, we'll grab all of these and we'll do it with the humanize tool. If I have to, I'll go back in and tweak them later. And the other thing I wanted to do just before we wrap up this section is in the drummer here. I don't want to have it go any quicker, but I do want to introduce something else in between. I do have a shaker in here. I'm literally going to copy the same notes, bring them up to the shaker and put them in between. We've now got that shaker in there as well. Now I'm going to reduce that in level. So we're just going to bring this like this and bring up the levels here. We're just going to reduce the shaker down so it's barely audible. Fab. So in the next section, we're going to extend this out, start to build it up into the main body of the track.